Go ahead and get this recorded too. How's everyone doing today?
Good. Oh, no, good, Brandon.
Good. What's up, Mike?
Everything's good. How you doing?
Great. How's Maryland treating you?
Treat me pretty good. It's you have to beat up on the buyers and the sellers now. The re-education process has begun. I mean, I feel like a teacher, man. The market has changed and they act like they don't know it.
It's an education process. Yeah, for sure.
It is.
Yeah. Well, welcome. And what we're going to be doing here is I'll record this too, so we can have this. If you're able to throw your camera on, that'll be great. That way, you can get the interaction with you.
I
That
am
way,
for a minute. I
I'm
just got back from the
Sure.
gym and I didn't even get a chance to fix myself up, but a little bit decent, man. So I'll
No
probably throw it
worries.
on for a second. You see me now. I don't
No.
look like I normally am, ready to go.
No problem. And if you can, or anyone else is in position can, that's fine too. I just wanted to kind of it's nice to get that interaction sometimes. So cool. Welcome to the Creative Real Estate Live call. Lots of fun stuff going on. Josh, welcome. How you doing, bud?
Right.
You got Abraham on here, Ralph's on here. Welcome. So what I kind of want to touch base today on is a little bit of the concept of options and how options are a way to create wealth and make money without much risk. So for those of you that do co-wholesaling or JV deals, a lot of times you use a JV option to lock those type of deals up. Options can be used for lease options. There's options that can be used to purchase land or purchase property in the future. They buy it, they purchase an option on something, and then at a later time they hope to buy that. So the idea here and the concept is basically control without ownership. And I think it was Rockefeller that said control everything and own nothing. And part of that, if you think about it, when it comes to wealth, real estate, business, a lot of times a lot of us have LLCs. That's one way to control things without owning it in your personal name. People have trusts and land trusts. That's one of the ways that you can control real estate without having it in your name as well too. So the idea here is to kind of figure ways that you can control real estate without owning it. So I did a little interview today with one of my friends, and I kind of want to just take a minute and share that. And I'll be sharing the interview. I'll upload that for us in our community as well. And so if you want to find out a little bit more about this, but this is a little interview, and to kind of give you a little preface on this. This guy is one of my fix and flip buyers. His name is Brian Kandeski. He's done about 1,800 fix and flips. Been in the business about 22 years. I've sold lots of wholesale deals to him. He's a big flipper in our market. He's starting to get into Airbnbs a lot more. I think he has about 30 Airbnbs, and he's trying to get I think 150 in the next 4 years. So basically moving to the hospitality business a little bit too. So let me see if I can get to this part here and share my screen real quick. All right, and I'm going to play this. Let me know if the sound goes through, because I don't know if it'll work with my speakers on or not, or with my headphones on. I'm going to just share my screen. Can you guys hear it? I kind of want to go over this property and kind of tell you a little bit about, tell the audience a little bit about how I found this. So at the time, I was working with Sean and Terry still. I was doing acquisitions and dispositions for him. And this was a lease option deal that we found. At the time, it was an FHA loan that didn't have much equity at all. And the sellers were moving to New Mexico, and they just wanted it out of the property. And so what we did, we just trying to help them out, trying to figure a way that we can still take care of them and maybe use it for one of my buyers. So what we did is we did a lease option assignment where we assigned the deal to Brian. It was a little lease option, and we did actually, here's the paperwork we used. It was a little short offered lease option form. We changed the terms on this. This just shows a 1-year lease option. We actually changed it to a 5-year lease option. Sold it to Brian for $5,000. Brian used it as a rental property, an Airbnb property, and then you flipped it, right?
Yeah. And we flipped it. It was, perfect timing. Obviously over the years, markets don't go up like they did, and we've experienced it with them in big time. And, we got to just get out of it and move on to the next property. But that was a nice little deal for sure.
I think you had this one for about 3 years. Is that right? Roughly?
Yeah.
Okay. So you had it for a rental for a little while. And I think one of the nice things about this property is right on the border of Gilbert and Mesa, really close to Gilbert Road. And it's a pretty well-traveled area, but also had a pool in the backyard, right? So is that a good feature for Airbnb? All right, I'm gonna stop it there. But basically what I want to point out was that was a over $100,000 deal for him. He actually got it on the lease option from us. We sold it to him. I think he netted $2,000 to $3,000 a month as an Airbnb, and then he bought it for $240 and sold it for $355. Now thinking about this, he had this as a rental property, had control over it, never owned it, except for that day that he did a double closing on it. He owned it for like a minute, right? But he still had all the control over that and all the ability to make cash flow off of that. So tell me what you guys know about lease options. What do you guys think? What do you guys know about those? Welcome, Rick, by the way.
We had talked about, I'm doing 2 in Baltimore, Maryland now, and we had talked about them a couple of weeks ago. So I said I would try to chronicle those as we're going along, what the process was, what it looked like we're going through some headaches, because one of them, the neighborhood was a little bit tougher than I thought when I went over there, and so we may have some challenges getting the right type of buyer in, but I'm going to chronicle that all the way through to the close.
Okay. And so how did you find that? How did you find that lead, Mike? I think he's muted. Well, let me show you guys let me share with you guys a little bit. So a lease option basically is just 2 parts. One is a lease. That's one of the documents. And the other one is the option to purchase. So to kind of help you understand what an option is, it gives you the right, but not the obligation. You don't have to buy a property. You don't have to buy that, but it gives you the right to buy it if you decide to. So let me share my screen real quick and I'll share with you guys.
My bad, Brent. I was talking when you asked me the question and had it on mute. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead. What were you going to say there? Sorry.
No, I was just going to, when you asked me how did I find him, it was just from talking to him through my lead channel. Initially, she was thinking about just putting her, just getting an agent and just talking to him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's it. A lot of times, and we're going to be moving from a seller's market to a buyer's market. That's one of the things I talked with Brian Kandesky there on that interview, was how things are changing, and the people that understand creative real estate are going to be able to weather the storm of going into a buyer's market, especially if you're used to wholesaling and stuff like that. So this is a simple 1-page, what do you call a short offer lease option form. And so the part with the options just down here, right? It gives us the option to purchase a property, but not the obligation. If we decide not to buy it, we don't have to buy it. So to kind of help you understand. The other part is the lease. Now to kind of show you what the full lease option looks like, let me show you that real quick. This is the full lease option. It's like 4 pages, the one that I typically use. Oops. But basically the main points to point out is just like the term of the lease right here, and then the option part right here. The what you're going to buy the property for, and then if there's any option fee on that, right? Now, the thing that I always like to be able to sign the property. I always like to have the opportunity to cancel. Where's that right to cancel cancel the contract if I decide it's not a good deal for me. And that's a basic lease option. Now we can use options besides lease options. We can use options for those of us that do JV deals. This is a JV option agreement. And this just gives us the right to buy the property, but not the obligation. So we can control real estate with a document. We can control the right to purchase that property with just a one-page option agreement. Now, some of the options may be a little bit more, depending on, bigger pages depend on what are the disclosures on there and stuff like that. But with a simple document, you can control real estate. So that's the JV option agreement. Let me show you one other option that I like to use too. For those of you that are doing direct to seller wholesaling and you have sellers that are just maybe not there on the price, maybe they're just a little too far away. This is what I refer to as a straight option or a flex option. So maybe I'm trying to buy a property for say 200,000 and the seller's asking 220. We're like too far apart, right? So sometimes I'll do something like this, where it's just an option. I tell them that I'm not the buyer. I tell them that I'm not the one that's going to be buying this, but I will bring this out to my buyers and see if I can find someone that'll buy it at the price that they want. So it gives me a way to control market the deal. Now, the one thing I like on here too is I let the seller know that they can cancel the agreement at any time. We just have the first right of refusal on it. This also gives us access to list the property if we needed to. Let me put the E there. The multiple listing service, we can throw it on social media, on the internet, or whatever. So gives us the right to control this opportunity. Now, a lot of these options on your JV deals, you want to have at least 2 weeks, if not longer. The longer, the better on options. Now, we're just going to touch base a little bit on these options, but I want to dive in a little bit on the lease options and kind of tell you how we can make money doing this. So let me know what questions you guys have before I keep rolling here. Everyone follow along okay?
I mean, the only option that or questions that I really have is like just getting started, like where you usually go to start finding these types of deals. I mean, I know we've kind of gone over, what the principle is and what's done, but that's kind of where I'm really wanting to get started and
Take action.
What kind of buyers are you looking for these properties, things like that. So to try and start farming, start getting this going.
Perfect. So let me show. So a lot of times, the best times you're going to find a lot of these are people that are already trying to rent the property or trying to sell the property. So a lot of times I use Craigslist and Zillow. Facebook Marketplace, you'll see people rent properties or sell properties too. So if I'm on here trying to buy, a lot of times I'm going on the for sale by owners area right here on Zillow. Let me see if we can find that. By owner right here. And it's going to be under this other listings right here. So maybe I want home type. Maybe I only want houses. So these are all houses and I can sort from like lowest to highest or whatever, or highest to lowest. So I can, and a lot of times what I'm looking for too is ones that have been on the market the longest. Let's see, the newest. If I did the newest at the front, then the oldest will be at the bottom. So we're looking for properties that have been out there for a while that maybe they're trying to sell it. Like here's one that's 73 days on Zillow for sale by owner. And so what we're going to do is try to talk to those sellers and see if they're open to selling it on a rent-to-own basis. Now, there's a couple of different strategies on lease options. Okay. So when it comes to lease options, there's a straight lease option assignment. Get in, get out. It's like a wholesale deal. You're basically wholesaling the lease option. you're transparent with the seller. A lot of times you let them know, hey, I'm not your buyer. I have some people that are looking for this. There's no fee to you to use my services. I get paid by the tenant buyer. So what we do, we lock that deal up under a lease option, market that deal. Usually I use like Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that. And then we put someone in there, and that seller and that seller landlord, that tenant buyer are put together. We get paid, we're in and out of the deal. And a lot of times it's hard to say how much you can collect on this because it really just depends on the price point. It depends on the demand. And a lot of times you can get, 3 to 5 months of rent up front as an option fee. Usually I try to shoot for 3.5 to 5% down at a minimum, because if they're going to try to buy the house, they're going to need 3.5% down, like a FHA loan, to be able to qualify. And you want someone that's going to be able to have a chance to qualify, make sure they actually have a job, make sure they have decent credit, have a chance to do that. And a lot of times these lease option assignments, we're doing this at a short time frame, typically 12 months to 36 months, depending on how long the seller will let you do that for. So there's a lease option assignment, right? There's a cooperative lease option. The cooperative lease option just means you're working with the seller, you're cooperating with the seller, and you're going to give them some of your option fee. You're splitting some of the money that you collect from that tenant buyer. So it's a cooperative, and you can do that virtually in any market. So the third lease option, or type of lease option, is what they refer to as the sandwich lease option. And if you think about a sandwich, you got bread on top and bread on the bottom and meat in the middle. So if you stay in the middle long enough, that's where you make your money. So a sandwich lease option, you usually have that for 3 to 5 years, and you get paid a lump sum up front for your option fee. You get paid cash flow because you're actually subleasing the house. You actually become the landlord to another tenant. And then they actually exercise that option and buy that property. Then you get the big lump sum at the end, like what Brian did. Okay. Like he sold that one at the end. So how do you think the conversation should go with these sellers? I'm probably going to pick, I don't know, Rick, I don't know if you're available to chat on here or not. I know you may be at work. But Rick and Mike would be good to chime in on here because I think they've had some experience.
I can hear you. I'm unmuted now. So
Great.
right. I still look a little crazy coming from the gym, but I can actually hear you. I'm good. Yeah.
No worries. No. When you present to a seller, I don't know if you've done this very much, but when you're talking to the seller about a lease option, how do you usually bring it up?
Well, I'll start with, once I understand the pain and I get an idea of what I'm walking into. I mean, I never have like a script. It all depends on how I'm feeling in the flow of the conversation, but it would sound similar to, hey, look, I really want to buy your property, Brandon. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you something. If I was able to give you some money now and you knew I was the buyer for your property, would you work with me and let me pay you over time? I can get close to your number. If you can work with me, I just try to have like a real conversation. Like, I'm really confused. I'm really trying to buy your property. I'm not trying to sound too polished, none of that. I'm trying to really come across like I want to buy your property. I can give you your price, but I just want you to work with me. I'm the right buyer for your property. And that's how I get into a conversation. And I try to use the word term. I never use lease option anything, because term can mean anything to anybody. And typically they're going to ask me, well, what do you mean by terms? What is that? And then that starts me down the road. As soon as I can get them to say that, I'm good. I can start framing the conversation.
Right. And a lot of times, let me see if I can use my iPad here, and I'll share this with you guys real quick. Okay. I want to talk about, because this is an important part that you brought up, Josh, is how do we like identify those people, then how do we talk to them, right? So this is very important. So when it comes to the process that I follow, so I'm a licensee of the gut sales method with Claude Diamond. So one of the things that I do is I try to follow a simple 3-step process. And the gut sales process is really easy. It's a very question-based system. Claude's been doing this for decades, and basically has been able to come up with a system that works, and you don't have to use scripts. Like, scripts are not really the way to go. It's
Right.
really about, communicating, having a real conversation, but getting to the point. So many salespeople will do a full presentation, give them all this information, regurgitate a bunch of junk that may even hurt them. They're trying to do this whole presentation instead of just find out if it's going to be a potential deal or not. I mean, why waste your time, spend 30, 40 minutes on the phone with someone that's not even willing to do it, or doesn't have the ability to do it, or doesn't have the authority to make that decision? So really, it just kind of cuts to the chase about getting right to the nitty gritty. So when it comes to this, the first step is what we refer to as the agenda step. Okay. And in the agenda, we really want to kind of create the roadmap. We want to kind of tell the seller what the call's about, kind of tell them how the call is going to go. And then we want to be able to get permission to ask questions. And we want them to be able to say, yes, it's okay to ask me questions. And then the other thing we want to be able to do is let them know that it's okay to say no. We want to get to a no. If it's not going to work, we want to get to no. A lot of times no's aren't necessarily no's either. No's are a lot of times just buying signals or a way to come up with an objection or a smoke screen. But if we can overcome that objection, then we can get to the place that we want to go, which is the close of the sale. So on the agenda step, it's always kind of create the roadmap, tell them the reason why we're talking, permission to ask questions, and then tell them it's okay to say no. Then we go to the qualification step. And then the qualification step, that's where we ask questions. If you're in wholesaling, you're going to ask about the condition of the property. You're going to ask about the time that they want to sell. You're going to ask about their asking price and their motivation. So a lot of those questions are really good. So we want to go through time, condition, motivation, and price. Also on here, a lot of times I'll put needs and greeds. So a lot of times it's needs and greeds. Maybe they have some sort of need that they have to get something done in a certain amount of time, or maybe they're just stuck on a certain price. A lot of the deals I've got is because the seller just wanted a certain price, and we're able to kind of make sense of that if we can give them the price, so we can get the terms we want. So that's the second. So step 1 is the agenda. Step 2 is the qualification. And then step 3 is the close. And on the closing step, it's really asking closing questions. I like to think of like what if questions. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what if I can get you the price you want? If I can get you the price we want, can we move forward today? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what if I could do this? What if I can do all the things you want and close in your time frame? What would you want to do next? Right. And a lot of times the closing questions, you're trying to get them to say yes. You're trying to get them to come to the conclusion that they're ready to move forward themselves. They're trying to close you instead of you trying to close them. And then you need to confirm that close. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I got someone, they said yes. But a lot of times you want to go ahead and just confirm that, like dig in deep. Like, is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to move forward after today? Is there anything that can keep you from making that decision that would keep us from moving forward? Maybe it's, oh, I haven't talked to my spouse yet. Or, I inherited the property with my siblings and I need their approval. So we need to understand that a lot of times just because they say yes doesn't necessarily mean that we are ready to go to the full close yet. So we got to kind of confirm that closing a lot of times. So that is the simple guts method of sales. The other part about guts is the whole mindset, the psychology behind it. You don't want to waste time. It's not about like building hours and hours of rapport and doing presentations and wasting time driving across town to see properties. We're not playing realtor. you know, we're trying to get to the nitty gritty and get to an answer, a yes or no answer. So, all right. So what would be fun is to kind of just maybe make a few phone calls. We can pick an area. I'm just picking out Mesa, Arizona here. We can just make a few calls on for some for sale by owners. You can see how I kind of make a few of these calls. And here's the reality. You got to understand when it comes to this, we're looking for motivated sellers, right? And if you think about out of 100 sellers, only about 5% will sell non-traditionally, I mean, without a realtor. 95% will sell with a realtor or sell on the MLS or sell traditionally. So we're looking for that 5%. We're trying to dig through dirt to get to the gold. And a lot of times we think that we just make 1 or 2 phone calls and that's it. A lot of times we have to make calls or we have to get people reaching out to us through attraction marketing and things like that, that they're wanting to reach out to us because, hey, we can give them the price they want. They don't have to pay a lot of the commissions and stuff like that. So how about we make a few phone calls? How does that sound?
Good.
And then one of the things I can do too, before we make a few phone calls that kind of show you a little bit of how I talk to them. But also what I can do too is show you how you can go out and find these leads yourself for free. Like signing up on, you know, you just go and create a search on Craigslist. But not only that, I can show you how to use a software called Scraping Solutions to have leads sent to you on a recurring basis every week and different markets that you want to focus on and stuff like that too.
Hey, Brandon,
Yeah. What's up, Aaron?
quick question. Nothing much. How you?
Good.
Quick question. That lease option agreement, can you load that inside of the contracts or is it already there?
I don't think that's in there, but let me go ahead and throw it in the chat here for you.
Okay.
So, actually, I think I'll create, actually, let me show you what I'll do real quick, everyone. Let's see here. Let me go to the school community. If you go, what I'll do is I'll put I'll create a link right here for contracts. Let me go ahead and grab them real quick.
Okay.
And this way everyone will have them. Oops. Let me share this link. So what you'll do is you'll have to be able to make a copy of the
Okay.
contracts before you edit them. But let me go ahead and throw it in here real quick. Go to settings, links, contracts. Okay. Did that go through? Let me refresh this real quick. Okay, so right here it says contracts.
Okay.
So if you click on that, that'll open up Dropbox link with all these contracts.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You got it. No, thanks for asking. All right. So before I make a call, who wants to do a role play with me and be the seller? You can kind of walk through this a little bit so you kind of see what I'm going to do.
I will play with you, Brandon.
All righty. So we'll use this property right here on Isabella as an example, Aaron. Okay. So I'll call up. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is this Aaron?
It is.
Hey, Aaron, I was calling about the property that I saw on Zillow for sale on Isabella Avenue in Mesa. Am I too late?
No, I still have it for sale.
Oh, great. Well, it looks like a nice place. Looks like it's been on Zillow for a few days. What's going on with it?
Well, it's nothing really going on with it. Just trying to sell it.
Okay. And is it occupied or vacant right now?
It's vacant.
Okay. Was this a rental property at one time?
At one time, yeah.
Okay. I'm an investor, so I'm looking for properties like this too. What type of rent were you getting for it?
2,000 a month.
2,000 a month. That's great. Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm calling here is I got a couple clients I'm working with, and they're looking for a property exactly like this. And the price works. They can pay full price. They just need a little bit of time to be able to close. Well, you want to be open to selling it on a lease option, would you, if you got full price?
What is the lease option?
Basically, they need about 10, 12 months to get their financing in order so they can get qualified. I work with a couple different clients, so some of them need like time on the job. Some are just trying to clear up some credit issues. And then they can go ahead and pay for the property. Now, the nice thing about it, though, is there wouldn't be any commissions or anything like that. So you get the full net 405 on that.
Well, I don't
And-
know. I don't really want to do nothing like that. I just want to sell.
Okay,
I don't
that's
wanna
not a
do it.
problem. Hey, it's not a problem. And I think if it was $2,000 a month times 12 months, it's another 24,000 on top of the 405. Ooh, let's see here. You'd walk away with about $429,000. So that wouldn't be anything you'd be interested in right now.
No, I got too many concerns. They tear up my property. It's just too much can happen.
Oh, okay. What are you concerned about?
People tearing up my place.
Did you have something like that happen before or something?
I've had some experiences that I'm not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, we'll
just
be
want it
trying
off my hands. I'm just trying to just get rid of it because
Okay.
I just don't want it no more.
Just to let you know, whenever we place someone in there, we usually they're coming in and this is going to be their home. So we make them responsible for all the day-to-day maintenance. And of course, they're responsible for the property. So a lot of times these aren't your normal tenants. You know, they're not the ones that come in and rent for a year and take off. These are ones that are trying to buy the house. Usually they're the ones trying to decorate it, throw out flowers out the front yard and stuff like that. So if we can get the right tenant in there that you approved of and that we run through background checks and through previous landlords and stuff like that with good recommendations, would that be something to be open to or probably not?
Well, if they'll keep the place, because that's what I'm concerned about. But
Mhm.
I need a nice down payment if I do anything like this.
Well, it'd be a rental right now. What type of idea did you have as far as a option?
I would need at least 50,000 down.
Okay. Sounds like it's not going to be a good fit for us, Aaron.
Okay. Goodbye.
Fire the client.
That's what I get. I've gotten it.
You have permission to fire the client. Now, maybe I can talk to them. Maybe it's more of a come to Jesus moment, like 50,000. Hey, this is a rental, right? This is not unless they're selling it on terms and they sell it over on a seller financing, seller carryback or something. That's one thing. I usually try to get these down with 1 to 2 months rent up front. And a lot of times the way we can overcome that is we can explain a little bit. Well, would it be okay if and ask permission, right? Is it okay if I explain a little bit how this works? And then you say, well, usually we can get 1 or 2 months up front for the option fee. And then they rent it out for the next 12 months at that $2,000 a month. So you might be able to get $2,000 to $4,000 up front on top of your $24,000 for that first year of rent. And then they pay you full price for that property. Is that something that we should talk about or probably not? And boom, right to the very beginning. No. If you see here, I have this little 3-minute egg timer. I should be able to, in 3 minutes, be able to know if I have a potential seller or a potential deal or not.
Yeah.
And if I can't qualify them in 3 minutes, then I'm probably not doing my job right. So I want to be able to get to the point pretty quick and not waste a lot of time.
Hey, Brandon,
What do you think?
Can I say
Yeah,
something?
go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
Just with Aaron's question, he's right. I got that same thing with the deal that I'm talking about. I'm trying to get done this weekend, and I just kept following him, Aaron. And after it probably took about 2 months, and they didn't quite go 50,000, but they needed like 25,000. But I just kept them
Mhm.
on my drip. And 2 months later, we agreed to 3,800 down. So it
Mm.
went from she needed, I think it was
Wow.
20 or 25,000. So Brandon is absolutely right. But if you stay on them and just
Right.
touch them, you'll
Mhm.
find out that they start coming into reality. They're not going to
Right,
get that
right,
money.
right.
But the
Because they
key is the
sell, right,
follow-up. The follow-up is the key.
right. That
So
is
they
key.
went from
That's right.
20
Yep,
something thousand to 3,800
yep,
down.
yep, yep, yep.
Right.
That's
How
right.
often are you following up with them?
It's the
Yeah.
follow-up. I just
Yeah.
keep like every 10 days, I'll check in and I'm always respectful. And if they tell me, oh, I already got a contract, somebody's going to give me more than that, I'll just follow up and I don't try to act like, I'm throwing it in their face. I just come to, hey, I just was trying to see if it's anything I can help you with, or if I can talk to you about something. And basically what I'm trying to do is I know that person probably didn't perform on the contract. I'm just trying to stay in front of that seller so they will remember me.
Yeah.
So Mike, you bring up an excellent point, and I want to deviate for some before I start making some calls. I want to just show you guys some statistics to help us understand, because if you use the gut sales system and you really understand, like friends of mine use Sandler sales, basically the idea is just use a sales system that cuts to the chase, that kind of just gets, because the sellers will lie. Sellers will try to throw up smoke screens and stuff. And if you can just avoid this, like, look, hey, it just sounds like it's not going to be a fit, right? Is that what you're saying? Right. You can tell me no. It's all right. Tell me no, and I can move on, right? So you can cut to the chase pretty quick. But the reality is, a lot of times, and if you get really good at sales, you can do closings a lot quicker. But Mike brings up a very valid point about how important follow-up is, especially in sales. Like,
Yeah.
let me give you guys some interesting statistics here real quick. Okay. This will be very cool for you guys. Oops, sorry. All right. Do you guys see my whiteboard right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So let me pull this up real quick for you. Okay, so now some interesting statistics for you guys. 48% of salespeople never follow up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty interesting statistic right there. Okay. Now, only 25% of salespeople follow up a second time. Okay. And then on the third time, how many people do you think follow up?
Very little.
12%. You see a pattern here, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And now only 10% of salespeople follow up or make more than 3 contacts. Okay. Now that may not seem like that big of a deal here, but let me go ahead and show you why this is important. So when it comes to the statistics, only 2% of sales are made on that first contact. What do you think on the second contact? What do you think the percentage jumps up to?
I say about 5%.
Close. 3%
Mhm.
on the second contact. On the third contact, okay, now you're up to your 5%.
Mhm.
Okay, now 10% of the sales happen on the fourth contact. Okay. Now here's a very interesting statistic. Okay. Between 5 and 12 contacts, 80% of sales are made.
Wow.
So should we follow up?
Exactly. Most definitely. That's what email, text, and calls. Huh?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times sending articles, a lot of times it's educating sellers, just touch and base.
Mhm.
To kind of give you an understanding, we had a sales guy, his name is Rafael Cortez, when I worked with Sean Terry. He did $1 million of wholesale fees, literally brought in $1 million of revenue to the company.
Wow.
Three years in a row.
Mm.
Right, here's an interesting statistic. 70% of his sales came after the first no.
Mhm.
What do you think about that, Aaron?
I think that's huge.
It is, right? 70% came after he was in the living room, talked to them, made the offer. They told him no.
Yeah.
What would have happened if he never followed up with them again?
You'll never get that yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any questions before I jump in and make a few calls? See how this looks.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna make a call and we'll see if we can get a hold of somebody. I'm gonna throw hopefully you guys will be able to hear it on my phone here. I'll throw it on speakerphone. Okay, we got a phone number here. 4763. No, I'm going to be focused on lease option on this call. I like what Mike talks about because Mike just is open on just terms, right? And maybe that may be a better fit, but I just kind of want to show you what the call will be like if it's just for a lease option. So can you hear it ring? Hi, my name is Brandon. I was calling about the house for sale on Zillow on Isabella.
Yeah.
Is that still available?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your name? I'm sorry.
Matt,
Matt. Okay. And you're the owner or your realtor?
I'm the owner.
You're the owner. Okay. I'm actually looking like a property like this. Is there anything that I need to know about the property before I make an offer on it?
Did you want to see it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures right now. I know there's no interior pictures
yeah, no,
though.
there's not. I didn't get the pictures on yet. I'm going to be getting one this week.
Okay. Is it occupied right now or is it vacant?
Yes, I have a renter in there.
Oh, you do? Okay. What type of rent did they pay by chance?
1950.
Okay. I was thinking about $2,000. Okay. And it looks like a pretty nice place. Why are you guys selling it?
Because I went out in a couple of weeks in September of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and I had talked to my accountant and tax attorneys the couple of weeks before, and they said, you know, we really got to start transferring to the kids. I have 2
Mhm.
daughters.
Oh, okay.
So the, you know, I was listening to the Fed and plus really giving it some thought because I've been lazy about all that kind of stuff. And said, you know, they're giving out all of these trillions. There's going to
Mhm.
be inflation
Yeah.
a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. That was 2 years ago. So I predicted this inflation. It had to be.
Yeah.
And also, you know, COVID had just hit, and I said there's going to be great disruptions in the supply chain, which is something that I'd been complaining about for many years. That
Mhm.
the you know, we've shipped all of these essential things overseas for cheaper labor or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's a national security problem, which is turning out to be. So I said, you can invest in gold or real estate. I don't want to invest in gold. So I went out and it was September 11th. So it was the next day, September 12th. Between the 12th and the 28th, I bought 8 houses.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it's, you know, if you do it.
But you
you
picked a really good time though. You got all that appreciation in there. So
Yeah. So, you know, I actually, I bought 2 houses that were from a builder. By the day that I closed, they had gone up $80,000, $90,000. Took them a year to build the things.
oh wow.
But but I'm moving to Reno,
Okay.
Nevada.
Okay.
You know, it's close to my mother-in-law in Lake Tahoe. And
Oh yeah. Most of my
And
parents were married
so-
in Lake Tahoe. Yeah.
oh yeah, really? I was married in Lake Tahoe.
Yeah. Blue jeans. They always tell me the story. They got married in blue jeans. So,
Yeah, we all did. Well, we actually didn't.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, by the end of the month, you know, I was tired. It was a
Mhm.
lot of work, and I don't like to work anymore. Working interferes with my life.
So you're retired now?
Oh yeah, for a long time.
That's great.
Um,
Yeah.
I retired when I was 52.
Oh, good for you. That's great.
So anyway, I want to sell these, all 8 of them,
Mhm.
and roll them into single-use commercial buildings, like, you know, a building, a 6,000, 7,000 square foot building rented to an auto zone. It's triple net. They
Mhm.
take care of everything, and my kids just get the checks. So-
Would you ever consider, I wasn't even thinking about this originally, but this is how I bought a lot of my rental properties in the past is people own it free and clear. I just have them turn from landlords into lenders and pay them the interest that I'd pay a bank, stuff like that. That's something you might consider.
Yeah, but it doesn't really get me out, because I got to get the, you know, I want to take that cash and roll them, you know, do 1031s and roll them over.
Okay, so you're gonna do 1031. I was gonna say the other thing, you may want to talk to your CPA on this. A lot of times when you sell it on terms like that, on installment sale like that, the actual capital gains is reduced because you're only paying for what you receive for that year.
Oh yeah, I know. I've done that on a couple of properties where they were. One of the things that I own a string of car dealerships, so
Oh, okay.
I sold the car dealerships and financed the guys coming in. Although I kept the real estate, but I only pay capital gains on the increase in the price as it comes. You know, so they
Mhm.
delineate between the interest and the whatever.
Are you trying to sell all of them right away? Are you in a rush on it, or like what's the
I'm in
time
no
frame?
rush at all.
Okay.
This is like $3 million worth of property, something like that. It has nothing to do with. This is just a little side thing. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with what they do. I own, you know, some car dealerships, a bank, a finance, a real estate company, a rent-a-car company, an insurance company. This is a very, very small part of the pie.
Well, I need
But
to
it's just
I need to
what
learn
I've-
from you. This is amazing.
Yeah. What do you do? What are
I
you doing with buying properties?
well, I'm an investor too.
Yeah.
You know, I do some wholesale, some fix and flip, some creative stuff like lease options, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I just happened to see this one. It's a nice house. Actually, looks similar to one of my other rental properties I have. And I saw it on here, and then I went and looked it up. It looks like I have a software called PropStream, and it looks like that you own this one free and clear. It looks like you bought this one cash, right?
Yeah. I bought the way to go. If you're a real estate investor, you know,
Mhm.
you don't buy cash.
Yeah,
You-
leverage. Yeah,
You leverage, because
Yeah.
you know your cap rate goes from 6% to 13%. So, but the other thing is, I'm fucking lazy. So, I'll
Yeah.
admit it. So, I give the bank tax returns show $2.8 million. They show an investment sheet that shows over $25 million worth of net worth.
wow.
And it's a nightmare to get a mortgage for fucking $300,000.
Oh, I know.
The
It's ridiculous.
the guy actually held up the closing on one of the houses I call him up. I'm furious. I go, what the fuck? You want to do it the next day? I'm playing golf that day. So why are you holding it up? And he says, well, the one of your rentals that you own free and clear, right? We got we got the lease on it, whatever. We're okay on that part. We got the taxes. You got proof how much your insurance cost is, but we can't get in touch with the homeowners association to verify that it's $60 a month for the homeowners association. I said, what does that have to do with anything? He says, well, that goes into the formula for your debt to income ratio. I said, are you out of your fucking mind? If the association fees are $300,000 a month, I'm okay.
Yeah, I used to be an underwriter at Wells
It's,
Fargo.
it's on our thing, and we the banking commission and all that. So it's just torture. So the first 4 I didn't do. The 2 that I had built, they had a guy that they dealt with, and I just had them deal with, call my accountants
Mhm.
and my comptrollers from the businesses, and they did everything. But it was still a pain in the ass. I still got phone calls, and still, is everything set? Everything is set. You're going into funding, and then get another call about some $58 or some stupid thing like that.
Wow.
So
Are you out here in Arizona?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I live in Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. I don't know if you know it.
Superstition. Wait, is that?
In Gold Canyon.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. My
Yeah.
aunt and uncle used to live out in Gold Canyon. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
really pretty.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I call, because I was looking up stuff, because I have people, because I do lease options for people too. So I set up lease option deals for people. That's why I was
Yeah.
originally calling about it, to see if that's something you might be open to.
I'll tell you how I do that.
Sure.
I was doing that 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I was doing those. Okay. Back east. Okay. Now, for me to do a deal, I like to do deals that are win-win. I don't want to do a deal where I win and somebody else gets screwed.
Right.
I don't, it's just the way I do the business. Okay. So here's how I structure a deal like that. And you might, incorporate it if you want to. I don't, whatever you want to do.
Sure.
But here's an example of how it would work. Okay. To lease it to somebody.
I like this guy, by the way.
Give them an option to buy it for $405 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Is ridiculous, because what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, let me give them this option, get my regular rent for $2,000 a month, which I could do anyway. If the housing market crashes or goes down, they don't exercise the option.
Mm-hmm.
If it stays the same, they do or don't. And then I'm starting all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes up $100,000, of course they're going to exercise their option. But even if they just buy it and flip it, or sign the contract, do a simultaneous closing with somebody that's got money. But I don't get anything out of that. But if I say to myself, you know what? I don't care whether it sells now or in 2 years from now for 405, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes up to 500,000, well, let it knock themselves out. Okay, they made $100,000. I don't care that somebody does well. I hope they hope they do well, right? But I have to be protected. If I'm going to give away the upside, I have to protect myself against the downside. So I would do something like this. Lease it to somebody that wants to buy, but doesn't quite have enough down payment yet. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would lease it to them for $3,500 a month instead of $2,000, right? And it would stretch them out and they would struggle to, for the 3,500, but it would have to be somebody that's financially, in line. I would, look at their credit and income and proof of income and stuff like that, just like a bank would.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could pay the 3,500, but they don't have the down payment yet, right? They can lock into the 405 price that it is now, right? And if it goes up, they, enjoy the appreciation because they'll exercise their option. So they pay $3,500 a month instead of $2,000. On the 23rd month, 30 days before the lease is up, right? They have to, by registered mail, inform me, or even have me sign something that says
Something in writing, yeah.
I acknowledge that they are going to exercise their option. And then that $36,000 that they've paid extra in rent.
It's a rent credit or
Excuse me.
would it be a rent credit or something like that?
It would be a closing credit.
Yeah,
A buyer, a
concession.
seller's credit to be exercised at closing.
Got it.
If they do not close, they do not get that $36,000 back. It remains rent to me. And the lease is over and the lease option is over unless we extend it, whatever. And at that time, sometimes they go to $2,200 a month and forget the option.
Mm-hmm. Some of the
Right.
lenders, because when I worked at Wells Fargo, some of the lenders, if the rent is what they consider higher than the market rent, like not just a little bit, like, really high, then
Yeah.
it's not something that they're really keen on a lot of times. If, if
What do
they're,
you mean?
well, like if they're
What lenders?
like Wells Fargo, they want to show that what they can do as far as a refinance. They might be able to qualify as a refinance instead of
No,
a
it's-
purchase.
They
So,
have not purchased it
right.
yet. They just have a contract of sale.
Would you be
Right.
open? Would you be open to selling it on terms, like just doing a sell carry back on it?
Selling it on terms,
If you got the price and you got interest on it,
the reason, get the price and the interest rate and enough security somehow in terms
Mhm.
of down payment or something.
yeah,
But otherwise, if I want to sell it and cash out of it and not have anything to do with it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
If I put it this way, if I sell it
I think it's just talker, so I'm
get
gonna
my
probably wrap
price
this up here.
and
So,
get a small down payment and the people are paying a strong interest rate, which I'm gonna be able to get with my money anyway.
Yeah.
In corporate bonds now, right? To do that, I still have to worry about getting the check every month and look at the mail and call the people, hey, you're late on your rent. I got that aggravation,
unless it was prepaid a
it
few
doesn't
payments
really- It
ahead.
doesn't really give the upside of it is not good enough.
I understand. Well, I was just
the other
running into
thing is
some.
if I'm dealing with somebody that is strong enough that I would want to do the deal with them.
Mhm.
The catch-22 is they don't need me. They can put their 100,000,
Yeah.
their 25% down, their $100,000 down, and finance themselves and not use me.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question, and this may be a long shot, like maybe a little bit of a Hail Mary.
You always throw out every hair. Never know what's going to stick.
Well, so this is kind of tell you personally, we have a son that's 17. He finishes school this year, and he's a senior this year, I should say. So we want to sell our house, and then buy something and then be able to buy something. You wouldn't be open to doing a rent to own on this until like through the summer, would you?
No, it doesn't do me any sense. I got
Got
another
it.
one
Okay.
I got another one out in El Bujo, all the way out there, El
Yeah.
Corazon or whatever it is. The lease is up at the end of this month, and I'm going to be putting that up for sale, and I'm not even going to rent it again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
If I
Yeah.
lose 4 months rent or 5 months, it doesn't make a difference.
Well, it looks like a great place because I used to live right over there. I was over off of Power and Signal View and Elliott. That's where we used to live.
This is,
Yeah.
I fell in love with this neighborhood.
Yeah.
I tried to buy like 5 houses in here. They got crazy.
Yeah.
It just came along from a broker that I bought it before it hit the market.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it looks like if you need, I'm not a realtor, by the way, but if you need a realtor to list it, I got a friend of mine that's a great realtor too. So
I've got, first of all, you put a property for sale by owner. I've gotten at least in the last 10 days, at least 200 phone calls.
holy smokes. Okay.
And on top of the 200 phone calls, it's unbelievable what the brokers are doing now. I get 30, 40 that says that just offers right on the shoot. I'll list it for 1%. Then after I somebody said, well, I could do this or listing it. I said, I already got people that listing it that are offering to list it for 1%. They said, I'll list it for 0.5%.
Holy
And I get
smokes.
somebody from California that wants to list it for $169.
No worries. Well, if there's any other properties come up that you're selling that you're ever want to sell on terms or anything or on a lease option, I'd be interested in something like that. And it looks like you got it all handled right now though. So
You structure the lease option.
Could-
It's just you leasing it and you have an option to buy it at
yeah,
today's price. If it goes down, it does.
Well,
Don't exercise it. If it
we-
goes up, you exercise it.
we can make it an
There's no sense doing that.
amortized. We can make it an amortizing lease too. So depending
What
like
is that? What do you mean by that?
meaning like basically you can change the price at a different time. Like in 6 months it's this price or 12 months it's this price. So that way you're not worrying about losing any.
Yeah, but there's no what do you call it? You don't even have to write that on paper.
Well, what we can structure it too is instead of a
You have
lease.
to- if you have to agree at the price at the time of execution, there's no, what is an option for?
Well, then
It's meaningless.
the other thing we can do is what's called a lease purchase or a lease option. So it's actual purchase contract. And then sometime within that time. So it gives up to a X amount of time to not even exercise to close on it. So
Yeah, but what advantage do I have by doing that versus leasing it?
yeah, you don't.
just somebody
I
wants
guess
to
I
lease
guess
it.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, either way. So
Yeah, because
he's gonna keep talking, guys. I'm gonna have to hang up on him
there's an
here.
advantage for the seller. There's no protection for the seller unless they do something like what I was talking about.
Well, yeah, I understand. Yeah, the higher rent.
$2,000 and getting $3,500 a month. So you're
Yeah.
you're putting $1,500 a month either towards the purchase or you're paying $1,500 a month
Mhm.
for that option.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's something, maybe it's just not gonna be a good fit right now. But
Yeah.
no worries, Matthew. Hey, it's super nice talking to you. Very very cool story you got with you there too. So
Hey, good luck. And you got a 17-year-old son?
yeah,
Yeah. How is he with money?
he's great. He's actually really good. He's entrepreneurial too. So
Okay. Did he read? Not read. Did he study Rich Dad Poor Dad?
yeah, he gets paid $20 for every book he reads and has to do a book report. And that's one of the first ones he did. Rich Dad Poor Dad.
God bless you.
Richest Man in Babylon, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. The kid is gonna be filthy rich. No matter how much money he makes, he's gonna be rich.
I agree. I love that book too. I just met Robert Kiyosaki this year. So
Yeah.
that's great.
He's, let me tell you something. He don't live the book.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But he
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
But I was in the car business and sales manager and general sales manager, general manager, made $140,000 a year.
Mhm.
Wore the two-tone Rolex watch, was senior suits.
Wow, he's gonna keep going, guys.
You know, was married and had a little kid. Didn't have a pot to piss in, and was debt, you know, 5,000-10,000 on credit cards. Never
Wow.
had anybody read that book. It was like, what the hell are you doing?
Hmm.
2 years after that, we never went to a restaurant, not a McDonald's. We would buy a cold chicken and, you know, a roasted chicken in the grocery store, put it in the, on Thursday, put it in the refrigerator. Friday night or Saturday night, go out to dinner. All right, going out to dinner was make a picnic of the cold chicken, cut it up. We had a little table, beach table with 2 beach chairs. We would go over to the beach that did not have a fee. You didn't have to pay $5 for parking. No,
Yeah.
no fee for parking. We'd have a picnic on the beach, have a great time. We never went to a movie. Finally, this movie theater sold out to somebody who was just making a real estate play.
Yeah.
And it was right next to a shopping center. And they had some, you know, old lady and a kid with tickets. They didn't have popcorn, they didn't have anything.
It-
They paid it was $1 movie. So we used to go for
Yeah.
$1, bring our own shit, and that was all we did for years. We saved up we scraped together $10,000, $15,000. We put it on our first condo.
There you go. It's all about that delayed. It's all about that delayed gratification. You know, all that stuff.
Yes.
So.
Delay a bag of peanuts. It's a steak and lobster dinner.
There you go. Yep. Well, Matthew, I appreciate it, man. Nice talking to you tonight.
You telling me that about your kid?
Yeah.
Made my night.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, nice talking to you. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, so he talked a lot, but it was interesting because I wanted to kind of, you know, he has 6 houses now. What Mike Morse would say, he may follow up with that guy, right? That may be a guy worth following up. If he has like 6 I just looked up on PropStream, he has all those properties free and clear. And I didn't mean for that one to drag on, but it was kind of interesting. Maybe one to follow up with right away, you know, down the road. I know we're running out of time here, but when it comes to talking to sellers, I should have cut him off a lot earlier, but I was just interesting because I think there's one that might be able to follow up with, because a lot of the rental properties that I've bought were from people like that own the properties free and clear. They don't have a loan on the property. They've worked hard all their life. They've saved, they paid stuff down. And if you can figure a way that can make it a win-win solution, like where you can get them the price that they're looking for, maybe the interest and stuff like that, that makes sense. That's why I wanted to bring up the idea. Hey, if you can sell these on terms, you know, you might be able to get all this interest and not even worry about a 1031 exchange. Why? Just have notes, just have a mortgage on it, you know, become a note investor. So, but when it comes to talking to these homeowners, those are for sale by owners, for rent by owners. It's very similar. You just want to find out if they're even open to it. I normally don't even talk that long at all. He talked, but usually we just want to kind of cut to the chase and get right to the point and see if it's something that's going to work for them and work for us. And if it's not, move on right away. So questions, we'll spend some time. We'll do creative call every other week about the same time. And we'll be covering all the different strategies, you know, everything from seller carryback, seller financing, sub 2 wraps, lease options and stuff like that. So tonight I just want to touch base a little bit on options, how we can use options, how we can use lease options, and everything like that. Any questions before we wrap up? And Josh, did that help you understand how to make a call though? Because I know that one kind of dragged on a little bit, but
Yeah. No, that
okay.
helped.
Let me show you one other thing before we head out of here. If you go to, let me find it real quick. Scraping Solutions. I'll show you my screen real quick. It's called Scraping Solutions. They're out of Australia, actually. So they can actually do a scrape off of Zillow and Craigslist and all these other different things. And let me see if I can show you some of the jobs that I've pulled on here. It's not working.
Hey, Brandon, have you figured out a way to
Yep.
get around? Like I use scraping solutions and the rental, when you're dealing with the rentals, man, they stop you because the telephone number, the way the way Zillow is doing it now, man. Have
Mhm.
you figured out a way? And for sale by owners are good, but when you're dealing with rentals, they block you and it messes up your text campaigns and everything. Have you
Mhm.
figured out a way around that?
No, that's the interesting one, Mike. I'm not sure because Zillow has their own phone numbers a lot of times. It kind of
Yeah, they
like
lock you out now. At one time, you could
Mhm.
get past it. Now, man, I haven't figured out how to get past it, and it's stopping me on the rental. So if they give me like 1,500 leads, I might get 200 or 300 of them for rent, and the rest of them I gotta kind of do them individually.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't know why scraping. I'm not able to log in here real quick. I just wanted to show you one of the scrapes that I did. See if it'll let me log in this way. So this is all I did is request a for sale by owners, and you can do condos, mobile homes. You can pick different type of assets and stuff, and then it'll give you this spreadsheet, and you can download it as an Excel spreadsheet, and it has the information on here. Let me see if I can download it real quick and show you. There it is. Okay. Let me stop my share. So you get a little spreadsheet, and you can have this, you can have them send you stuff every week whenever they get it. You can have it run on autopilot in the background, and you can just either just call them yourself, use a CRM, but you can upload this, and then you have all their phone numbers here. And then you have the property addresses. It has the links for the properties as well. The Zillow links right here. All those are the photos down here. There's the Zillow links right here. I use one of the softwares I use is called REI Reply. Let me show you what I do on this real quick. And I can show you. I don't know if Rick's on here still. Rick, did you ever get set up with Evan on your automations?
I am still here, sir.
Did you get set up on your automations on REI Reply?
He was working on it. He told me last week that he got access from you. So he was working on it, but he has not completed it. I don't think so. I have not sent any text message yet. I think
I'll
last
have
week
to
was
follow
not
up
good.
with him too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
he's too busy with other stuff, doing stuff.
Well, let me show you guys. So this is REI Reply. Let's see. So we'll have automatic text messages go out, and if they don't answer that first text, that a second text goes out. So hey, this is Brandon. I'm not sure if your home's still available or not. Would you possibly consider a short-term lease purchase? Asking price is fine. All repairs are taken care of with the home warranty, so no worries there. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not an agent. And then kind of just following up with the same type of stuff here. And it does the automations. If they don't answer, it keeps bugging them for about 5 days. Then finally we get a question back, right? So all you're trying to do is solicit some sort of a response. And then if they're interested, hopefully, let me show you what that would look like. Let's see here. You get a maybe or yes. 24-month lease for how much? So that is a question that they're wanting to find more information out. So when you get a positive response like that, you want to be able to follow up right away and see if it's something that you can put together a deal. And all this is just using the scraping solutions to pull that information off of Zillow. And then we have the automations. So see, there's a maybe. So maybes are good. Yeses are good. No's, you just move on. If they say no, just don't even call them back. So, so a lot of this business can be done. A lot of us have jobs. A lot of us are working full time or have other occupations and stuff. So we can have some of the marketing done in the background while we're doing this. And then we can go and follow up when we have time in the evenings or early mornings or lunch breaks or whatever. So any questions before we wrap up the call for the day? Welcome, Ricardo.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
Good, man. All right. Well, everyone,
You're
thanks for
breaking up a
jumping
lot.
on here.
It's probably
Oh, I
my
am?
phone.
Oh, sorry. Shoot.
It's probably my
Well,
my service. It's probably my service.
Okay. Well, we'll have this call recorded and I'll upload that into the school community. So all those that are in there, it's well, if you go to the school community, go to the classroom area, I will put the call recordings right here. Okay. So all these calls will go right there. Right here on the classrooms and school community right here. But thank you all for jumping on. Appreciate it. And we'll end for the night. Appreciate it. See you guys.